Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
We're bringing you an advanced lesson today.
That's right. An advanced lesson where we talk about investing in emerging markets.
Right. So it's kind of a business topic. It's kind of a world topic as well.
Yes.
And it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, it is really hard.
Right. So if you're listening and you don't understand everything, please don't get discouraged. Don't worry about it because we're here to learn.
Yes, and we're here to help you.
Right. So let's get started with this. I'm really excited about this lesson.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Marco, maybe you can tell us a little bit. What is an emerging market?
An emerging market is a market that is starting to develop.
Okay.
And it's growing rapidly.
So you can maybe give some examples of emerging market.
Well, for example, China is an emerging market.
Yeah.
In the last years, it's been growing rapidly.
More and more people are moving to the middle class and have money to spend.
Right, exactly. So China is like a really great example of an emerging market.
All right. Well, with that, let's listen to the dialogue for the first time.
Dad, I'd like to borrow some money.
Sure, Johnny. How much do you need? $5?
Come on, Dad. I need 30,000. I want to get into the market. You know, I'm tired of hearing all this news about the economic downturn, the inevitable recession, people stuffing their money in their mattresses. I look at this as an opportunity. This is a chance for me to get a jump start on building my nest egg.
I don't know about that. With all the uncertainty in the markets right now, it'd be a very unwise decision to invest. I don't know if you're aware, son, but there has been a lot of turmoil in the markets recently. There have already been 500,000 layoffs in the last few months, and we have no idea how the proposed stimulus package will impact upon the economy. There's just too much instability. I just wouldn't feel comfortable investing in this climate.
But look at it this way. Every challenge is an opportunity. And anyway, I'm not talking about investing in the domestic market. There are emerging markets that promise great returns. Look at China, for example. They have 1.4 billion people, 500 million of whom have recently entered the middle class. Here alone, the aggregate demand for consumer goods represents an amazing wealth-generating opportunity.
Oh, come on, son. You're looking at this too naively. The Chinese market has exhibited a great deal of instability, and their currency has been devalued by almost a whole percentage point.
Fine then. If that's the way you feel, so be it. But you're losing out on a great opportunity here. I'm gonna hit up Mom for the cash.
Well, it sounds like the dad has missed out on a really big investment opportunity, hey?
Yeah, his son is pretty smart.
Yeah.
Pretty smart little boy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we have some great words that we want to look at here. Why don't we start with the first one? Turmoil.
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 So we have some great examples of how turmoil is used in different sentences. So let's listen.
Example 1. With a civil war, a famine, and inflation, the country has been in turmoil for 10 years. Example 2.
There's been a lot of turmoil in my life recently. I've moved to a new city. I've changed my job. I broke up with my girlfriend.
Example 3. The devaluation of the dollar caused a great deal of turmoil in the markets.
So turmoil is a state of
uncertainty, of change, of difficult times.
a little bit of chaos. Also, right?
Yeah. So, for example, when there's a lot of turmoil in the market, that means stock prices are changing drastically from day to day.
Right. Or the economy is in turmoil. There's a lot of problems going on.
Yeah, uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Okay. Good word. All right. And we also saw something really interesting in the dialogue about a proposed stimulus package.
A proposed stimulus package.
So a proposed stimulus package is something that's going on now.
Yes, let's break this phrase down. So we've got stimulus package.
A stimulus package, something to stimulate the economy, right?
Right. So money from the government to get the economy moving.
To get it moving. Stimulus package.
Proposed.
It means that it hasn't been approved yet.
Right. It's suggested.
It's suggested. It's an idea. So the proposed stimulus package for the U.S. economy, for example, is $150 billion.
Right. That's $150 billion of American taxpayers' money that the government wants to put into the economy to keep it moving.
To keep it moving, right. So if it works or not, that's still a debate, but it's a proposed stimulus package.
Let's move to our third phrase, aggregate demand.
Aggregate demand.
Aggregate demand.
Aggregate demand.
So demand is pretty clear, but this word aggregate, what's that about?
Aggregate is like a combined, added.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Aggregate demand. For example, in a country like China, where cities like in Shanghai or cities like Beijing, where more and more people are accumulating wealth, the aggregate demand is increasing.
Right. The combined demand for consumer goods is growing.
Right. More people have more money, so they're spending more.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, Marco, there's a ton of excellent language in this dialogue, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, and we want to listen to the dialogue one more time. But before we do, we have 3 words for you that we want you to listen for.
Yeah, pay attention to these words. Nest egg.
Nest egg.
Inevitable.
Inevitable.
And hit up.
Hit up.
So from the context of the dialogue, try and see if you can figure out what they mean. But after listening to it, we'll come back and explain it anyways.
Dad, I'd like to borrow some money.
Sure, Johnny. How much do you need? $5?
Come on, Dad. I need $30,000. I want to get into the market. You know, I'm tired of hearing all this news about the economic downturn, the inevitable recession, people stuffing their money in their mattresses. I look at this as an opportunity. This is a chance for me to get a jump start on building my nest egg.
I don't know about that. With all the uncertainty in the markets right now, it'd be a very unwise decision to invest. I don't know if you're aware, son, but there has been a lot of turmoil in the markets recently. There have already been 500,000 layoffs in the last few months, and we have no idea how the proposed stimulus package will impact upon the economy. There's just too much instability. I just wouldn't feel comfortable investing in this climate.
But look at it this way. Every challenge is an opportunity. And anyway, I'm not talking about investing in the domestic market. There are emerging markets that promise great returns. Look at China, for example. They have 1.4 billion people, 500 million of whom have recently entered the middle class. Here alone, the aggregate demand for consumer goods represents an amazing wealth-generating opportunity.
Oh, come on, son. You're looking at this too naively. The Chinese market has exhibited a great deal of instability, and their currency has been devalued by almost a whole percentage point.
Fine then. If that's the way you feel, so be it. But you're losing out on a great opportunity here. I'm gonna hit up Mom for the cash.
Largest lead of the game.
So the kid wants to invest because he wants to set up his nest egg.
That's right. So basically he wants to get a bunch of cash together so that he can buy a house or get married or whatever. It's that money you need to start your life, right?
To start your life, your nest egg. It's kind of a weird way of referring to this money, right?
I guess it is kind of funny.
And also the little boy talked about an inevitable recession.
Yes, inevitable.
Inevitable.
Inevitable basically means unavoidable.
Right.
So this guy thinks that the recession is unavoidable.
It's going to happen.
Yes, inevitable. You know, this word inevitable, if you apply the root word, you can get a noun, an adjective, or an adverb, right?
Right.
So we've got some examples where you can see this word in action.
Example 1.
Jason knew he was going to get laid off, but he was trying to delay the inevitable.
Example 2. As a new manager, it's inevitable that you're going to make mistakes. Example 3.
Inevitably, we all die at the end of our lives.
So as you can see, the noun and adjective form are the same.
Yes, inevitable.
Inevitable. When we use it as an adverb, though, we add the ly to it.
Inevitably.
Inevitably.
Yes.
So yeah, as you can see, we could use it in many different ways depending on what we want to say.
Right. Well, inevitably, we have to move on to our third word.
Hit up.
Hit up.
So he says he's going to hit up Mom for the cash.
Ask his mom.
Yeah, hit up.
Yeah, this is kind of a slangy term, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more informal,
Yeah.
a lot more slangy. Yeah.
You wouldn't really use it with your boss, would you?
No, you're not going to go up to your boss and say, hey, I need to hit you up for some cash.
No. So, Marco, I think this word is only applying to money, right?
Well, you wouldn't go up to your boss and say, oh, I need to hit you up for some vacation time.
No, it's typically used like for money.
In this context.
Yeah.
Hit them up.
We've got some examples of the phrase hit up. Let's listen.
Example 1.
I'm going to hit up the boss for a raise.
Example 2. Are you trying to hit me up for money? Example 3.
I don't have any cash. Have you tried hitting up Sophie? She's rich.
Okay, so this is our first advanced lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. It is a lot more challenging, I think.
Yes.
Especially because it's set in a business context, so it makes it so we have a lot of specific words and a lot of technical vocabulary.
That's right. Marco, you're exactly right. And I think that our users are going to have a lot of questions about the language in this lesson. So I'd like to invite you guys to come onto our website at englishpod.com.
Exactly, where you can leave all your questions and comments and we'll be there to answer them. But until then, it's
goodbye.
Bye. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Pod. We have an advanced lesson for you today. My name is Marco.
And my name is Catherine, and I'm very excited about this lesson, Marco.
It's very interesting. It's about a very controversial topic and a very popular person in history, Charles Darwin.
That's right. So he's most famous perhaps for his book, The Origin of the Species. And we're going to be talking a lot about science today. So put your thinking caps on.
All right. So without further ado, why don't we listen to this dialogue for the first time?
Man, it's been forever. What have you been up to lately?
I've been busy preparing for my exams, not to mention all the term papers I've had to write.
Same here. I'm up to my neck in work, but at least we've got summer holidays after finals. Where are you headed now?
I'm going to my anthro class. We've been focusing on Darwin all term, since it's the 200th anniversary of his birth or whatever. I'm sick and tired of Darwin, Darwin, Darwin!
What? Why? How can you not like Darwin? His work turned thousands of years of ideas about creation on their head. His theory of evolution revolutionized the fields of biology and anthropology.
I don't like him. His theory of human evolution and natural selection is full of holes. It's not as solid as you make it out to be.
Say that again and you'll make enemies with half of the academy, not to mention your professors. Furthermore, the explanation proposed by Darwin about the origin of the species and the process of natural selection constitutes a grand step towards a coherent understanding of the world and its very beginnings.
I'm not minimizing his huge contributions to science. It's just that his theory reminds me of the conundrum of the chicken and the egg.
What are you talking about?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? This is a classic logical problem, and I think it applies to Darwin's theory. How did the very first living organism come to be?
Interesting. I think that question is better suited for my philosophy class. In the meantime, how about we settle this with a duel?
All right, interesting. They have very different views on Charles Darwin, right?
They do, and they're both pretty nerdy people. This is a very nerdy university conversation that's happening between classes.
Yeah, I think maybe they're like PhD candidates or something.
Perhaps. All right, so before we get to talking about some of the ideas in today's dialogue, let's talk about some of the words and phrases that we hear to understand better what's going on. The first part we're going to talk about in today's language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
All right, on language takeaway today, let's take a look at the first word. And, well, one of the things that many people say is that Darwin revolutionized the fields of biology.
And so he revolutionized these because he pushed them forward. He made many changes. He forced changes. So people had to change the way that they thought about these things.
If you revolutionize something, a topic or an idea, you are creating new knowledge almost, right?
Exactly. You can think of the word revolution, which is a thing. So you think of the Russian Revolution or the American Revolution. These are times of change. Mm-hmm. So to revolutionize is to bring about change.
Very good. All right. So moving forward, they were talking about human evolution. Human evolution. What is that exactly?
Good question. So you're not a monkey. I'm not a monkey, but we come from monkeys, right?
So we evolved.
Right. So the process is called human evolution. That means the process by which humans changed forms to become what we are today.
Okay. So you evolve. Now, is it evolution? You usually think of something positive, right? Something evolves into something better. Is it always that way?
No, we have another word for the negative, right? Mm-hmm. So the positive is to evolve, to become better. Mm-hmm. To get worse is to devolve.
Okay.
To devolve, to go back and to kind of lose things that you had.
Okay, interesting. And then they were also talking about Darwin's theory of natural selection. Natural selection.
Okay, this is maybe one of the things that Darwin was most famous for, and that's why we've included it in this language takeaway, because it's a key phrase. It's something you hear people talk about a lot. Okay, so natural selection is a process again, and it's the process by which stronger animals survive over time and weaker animals don't. So if there's a weak species, it can't really survive because it keeps dying and dying, and then finally there's no more. And so this is called natural selection because no one's actually choosing what animals will survive, but it's kind of a natural process.
Right. Mother Nature is choosing it.
Right.
Very good. So natural selection. This is one of the things that Darwin is most famous for. And well, as Catherine mentioned, Darwin wrote the book Origin of the Species.
Right. So, origin means beginning. So the origin of mankind, right? So there are many different kinds of animals. You could even say there are many different kinds of, like mammals, but there are many different species within that. So, human beings, black bears, koalas, chimpanzees. These are all species. And so a species is a classification. So the origin of the species is kind of a way of telling the story of how all these things came about.
All right. The origin of the species. And the last one, this word is kind of strange. He talked about the conundrum of the chicken and the egg.
Okay, conundrum. I love this word. It's very funny sounding.
Yeah, it
conundrum.
Conundrum.
It means like a problem or a riddle or something that's hard to understand.
All right. So in this case, it's the conundrum of the chicken and the egg, right? Which came first? How else can you use conundrum?
You could say that maybe there's a situation that's very strange and hard to understand. This is quite a conundrum.
This is quite a conundrum we have.
Yes. So
it sounds very fancy, very well educated.
It does.
All right. So interesting words on language takeaway. Why don't we move on now to 4 phrases on Fluency Builder?
Fluency Builder.
All right. On Fluency Builder today, we have 4 phrases, as we said. So what's the first one?
The first one is great. It's very visual. You say, I'm up to my neck in work. Or I'm up to my neck in papers to write. All right. So this means I have so much stuff to do that you could pile it up and it would come up to my neck.
So I have as many papers that are almost as tall as I am.
Exactly. And so I could say I'm up to my neck in work. I have no more time to do anything.
Sometimes people also say I'm up to here, and then they'll point at their forehead or somewhere around their head. I'm up to here with your nonsense.
Exactly. So This is a way of saying that I'm really busy.
I'm really busy. I'm really tired of it. All right. And our next phrase is one that most mothers use. I'm sick and tired.
Ugh, I'm sick and tired of all of your whining. Go do the dishes and don't complain.
Right. So it always goes together. You are sick and tired.
Right. And sick comes first. So I'm sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of your bad attitude.
Okay. So, and that means that you are...
I'm just tired of it. I don't want you to have a bad attitude anymore. Or I'm
really annoyed by it.
I'm annoyed.
Okay. Sick and tired. And then we saw a phrase that was a little bit separated. He said, the sentence went like this. His work turned thousands of years of ideas about creation on their head. So to turn something on its head.
Like you said, Marco, it's split into 2 parts. So, he turned the field of computer science on its head. So to turn on its head means to completely reverse something, to turn it around. You think 180 degrees.
Okay.
And so if biology used to be one way, then Darwin made it completely different.
So we can say that Isaac Newton completely turned physics on its head with his theory or his findings on gravity.
And then years and years later, we had Albert Einstein who turned those theories or who turned that theory on its head with his own ideas about physics.
Very good. So to turn something on its head, to completely change the course of or prove something to be maybe wrong. And the last phrase that we have is the person argued that Darwin's theories were full of holes.
Okay, so to say a theory is full of holes is a little bit different than saying that his pants are full of holes, because when you say something is full of holes, maybe they actually have holes, but a theory it's an idea, so it can't have holes. What you're saying is that it's not completely sound. It's not without some problems. And so maybe you're saying that, the cookies are gone out of the kitchen, Marco, and I saw you in the kitchen, so clearly you ate the cookies.
Right, so I can say that's full of holes because it was me and it was 3 other people who were in the kitchen, so you can't blame me.
Could have been the other 2 people.
Right. So if something is full of holes, is that it has maybe mistakes or it's still missing complete evidence to prove it right.
Or it has bad logic.
Bad logic. All right. Interesting. So we've taken a look at a lot of words and different phrases here. Let's listen to this argument one last time.
Man, it's been forever. What have you been up to lately?
I've been busy preparing for my exams. Not to mention all the term papers I've had to write.
Same here. I'm up to my neck in work, but at least we've got summer holidays after finals. Where are you headed now?
I'm going to my anthro class. We've been focusing on Darwin all term, since it's the 200th anniversary of his birth or whatever. I'm sick and tired of Darwin, Darwin, Darwin!
What? Why? How can you not like Darwin? His work turned thousands of years of ideas about creation on their head. His theory of evolution revolutionized the fields of biology and anthropology.
I don't like him. His theory of human evolution and natural selection is full of holes. It's not as solid as you make it out to be.
Say that again and you'll make enemies with half of the academy, not to mention your professors. Furthermore, the explanation proposed by Darwin about the origin of the species and the process of natural selection constitutes a grand step towards a coherent understanding of the world and its very beginnings.
I'm not minimizing his huge contributions to science. It's just that his theory reminds me of the conundrum of the chicken and the egg.
What are you talking about?
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? This is a classic logical problem, and I think it applies to Darwin's theory. How did the very first living organism come to be?
Interesting. I think that question is better suited for my philosophy class. In the meantime, how about we settle this with a duel?
All right, we're back. So interesting, this Darwin's theories and his explanations for the origin of species and life as we know it. But there is the opposite to this, right? There is a certain thing called creationism.
There is, and this is a big source of controversy, especially in the United States, because in some places, people want to teach creationism as well as evolution in schools. And so this is the big question. Are they still equal as theories, or is one theory more proven than the other?
Right. And it is kind of hard to determine which one is better because one is based on faith. The other one is based more on scientific evidence, right? So they're not really even on the same scale. As we learned before, that's kind of like apples and oranges, right?
It is. And there are some people who would say that we have lots of ways of quote unquote proving what happened in the past. But as long as we weren't there, we never really do know.
Right.
And there's always changes in science. So how can we be sure that what we know now isn't false, isn't misunderstandings?
Right. I think for now, this is the best explanation, but that doesn't mean that it's the correct one. Maybe in 100 years from now, we'll have another explanation that's much better or maybe complementary to this one. Well, we want to know what you guys think. Come to our website, englishpod.com. We really want to hear your opinions. What do you think about this topic? It is a little bit controversial, so we really look forward to your comments and any other questions you may have.
Yep. And just a reference, creationism is the idea that God created the world or a superior being created the world and that everything came from that. And so let us know what you think. I am very curious too. And that's about it for today.
All right.
So,
we'll see you guys there.
Bye-bye.
Bye.